Okay, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. I have to be pulled away from my multi-million-dollar Disney production on the story of Moses for updated information on frenemies. Is this true? Ethan actually talked about Trisha? We have to get into this. We gotta. Let's go.
Then why? And people are comparing me to Trisha. Excuse me, Trisha ghosted. There was no words at all. And then she lied about it, and then she acted like she never knew who I was. They made fun of me for like 2 years straight.
I actually got to defend Nick. I don't like the comparisons to Trisha. I don't know why.
Speak your mind, Ethan. Just speak your mind.
I guess, look, to be fair, I don't know a lot about Nick. I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about stuff he said and done in the past. I'm not familiar with all that stuff, so I can't say, but I don't really think it's a good comparison. At least in my experience, I know Trisha quite well at this point.
Even the way he said that. All right, compare.
No, he was very nice. He was very nice, very sweet. I guess the thing with Trisha, the difference was that, like, we always had a really good shtick. The thing about Trisha that I'll say, at least up until the very end, like when she came on the podcast at first and in the beginning of Frenemies, we could say anything to each other in terms of like making fun of each other, like, oh, you're this and that and this, and like just calling it out, like, you know, the worst things you can say. And that was what was so funny. Now,
I noticed too, he said the beginning of Frenemies. And that's what I like to point out in my series. These first couple of episodes that we were going through, that's what he was talking about, how they could say anything to each other. And I get what he's saying because the early episodes of Frenemies and Ethan kind of calls Trisha out on everything. That's what I liked. I liked the early episodes. And yeah, Trisha had some shows where she stormed out, but she was always back the next week. And after the second blow up and when they made up, like to me, the episodes after that took a turn. It wasn't the same dynamic anymore because like he said, at the beginning it was fun. They could say anything to each other. But after the second blow up and they made up, it was this thing where, okay, now they can't say everything to each other because these things cannot be said. You know, these things are bad to say or these things trigger me. So I kind of get what he's saying. And that's what I'm saying too. The first episodes that I'm going over now, this is what I liked. And there was a change. After the second blow up and the second meeting with Dr. Drew, there was a change in the series. So the fact that they can have disagreements and talk about different things and that they didn't agree on everything all the time, that's what I liked about it. And the instance where you would say they went below the belt, what I liked is that when it happened, that they called each other out on it, especially with Trisha and the anti-Semitic things she would say to Ethan about the money situation. I feel she just played it up just because he was Jewish. But I liked that Ethan would always call her out on it. And he would tell her he didn't like it.
what?
You're starting to leave again?
No.
I thought you were going to.
Oh, for like a joke?
No, for like real. You should try. See how much money you make. You're all about money. Like as soon as TikTok, you heard you can make money. You're like, I'm on TikTok now.
What? I make like $5 a day.
I know you're all about the money, and not just because you're Jewish. It's because you're just.
That's not true. I'm really not all about the money. Why do you say that?
I know this.
Based on
Everything that I've heard about you, that I know about you. You
heard about me
you're
from
money
what?
driven, and that's fine.
That's
It's
just
okay.
not true. It's not true that I'm money driven. Yeah, well, sounds crazy.
And you're
to me.
very sensitive.
But I'm not.
knew
But
this
first of
about
all, I
you.
resent you saying that I'm money driven because I
No.
really don't think I am.
You really are.
I think I'm money driven as much as anybody else, but I don't think I'm extraordinarily money driven.
No, you are. You weren't on TikTok until you realized you can make money off of it.
What? That's just not true.
So-
You know, it's not that he just let it fly. He would say, I don't like when you do this. And the fact that she would keep on going back to it said more about her than it ever did about him. You know, because towards the end, he was watching everything she was saying, and she was just going on and on and on. She didn't have that filter where Ethan was always stopping her, which sent her on a tear. We'll get into that in a series.
I personally don't get offended when people say negative things about like my appearance, for example. So maybe that's why the boundary gets so blurry for me, when I'm talking to someone like Trisha or Nick. Like, I genuinely thought we were doing shtick and having fun with it. That was one of the best things with Trisha. Why I think the content was so entertaining is that we were just able to unload on each other. And
It's true. That's the thing. He liked the back and forth. And even when he didn't like it, so to speak, he would say he didn't like it, but not necessarily to stop, but just to point it out. And again, think back to these other TV shows where they have debates. If the two debaters are agreeing on everything all the time, you wouldn't watch the show anymore.
You know what's horrible? When the president of the United States whips up people to beat the hell out of people. No. Say goodbye.
I remember when American Idol first came out, and like Paula Abdul, the nice one, and then Simon Cowell, the mean one.
It was very warm, almost scalding, and I love hearing how your voice goes in and out of these beautiful colors. This was, in some ways, a safer song. I think that there's going to be a lot of colors of Danny coming out.
I don't understand a word of what you just said. Not a word. What colour was that?
Purple.
Blue.
Yellow?
Blue.
Danny, I thought the performance was verging on grotesque. I absolutely...
Grotesque? How?
I'll tell you-
Why?
The good thing
sorry.
but I disagree.
And Danny, I don't care whether this one thinks you're yellow, orange, or purple, because all
Guess
this
what?
colours nonsense is just ridiculous.
It's so funny because
It
I
was
don't care what he says either.
Danny, you had a good time, right?
What I love about Danny Noriega is that he has a performer side to him. And you know what? People have seen your vocals. I mean, heard your vocals.
You hear vocals.
I got that one.
You hear them.
He's got mad vocal skills.
He's a first
And
good
you
performance
thought that
tonight.
was a good performance,
I
Paula?
said it was a safe performance.
Safe?
It did not. It didn't.
What was safe about it?
Okay, help me out.
No.
No, you can't answer the question.
You know what? No,
Because you're
there's a
talking all
there's
this
Greatest thing about the performance.
Here's the
colours,
thing,
this,
Simon.
Greatest thing about the performance.
But we didn't want him off the show. And what happened when he left? That's what you're watching. You're watching for those dynamics. You didn't want Simon and Paula to be friends. No, they were frenemies. That's what I'm saying. They had the best podcast ever. Think back to TV shows. There's always a trope, usually a man and a woman, and they don't like each other, but for whatever situation, they have to be together, whether it be because of work or because of school, or because of maybe their neighbors. I don't know. Just pick the scenario. There's two people and they're always combated towards each other. And the reason why they're still together is because of the situation. So they work together, they're neighbors, or they're in the same class. On all these shows that these things happen, there's always fans that want the man and the woman to get together. And then it's like, no, the producers know, the writers of the show knows you're not supposed to let them get together because then the show is over, right? And like frenemies, what the heck does frenemies mean? It's just like a word, one of these new words. But they had the perfect dynamic because Ethan and Trisha would never have been friends in real life. Remember when she first came onto the show and she wanted to hang out with Ethan and Ela, they never hung out with her off the show because whatever, she was just a guest on their podcast. The reason why they had to hang around each other was because of Trisha and Moses' relationship. So that's when the frenemies came into play. We wouldn't normally be friends, but because of the situation, we have to be together. So, okay, let's just try to work. And what was happening is people were pushing these two to be friends, and they were never friends. They were always frenemies. And every time they lost track of what they were, it was when problems happened. They are not friends. Think of someone who is your enemy. I'm sure most people will say they don't really have an enemy, right? Because that's just so extreme. But let's say there's someone you don't like. Your enemy, someone you do not like. What do? For one, you don't hang around them. Two, you talk crap about them. Your friend, that's someone you hang around and who you talk lovingly about because they're your friend. The frenemy aspect of it, it's someone you don't necessarily like, but because, okay, now you have to work together, you're going to get along. And you know what happens when you are around someone that you never liked before? Guess what happens? You find out there's things about that person that are actually likable. Like you can hate the person, you really don't like the person, and you would never have known this because you would never be around that person. But when you are, you have to admit, oh, maybe they are funny.
Huh?
I still don't like them.
Oh.
Oh, maybe they are nice.
What?
I still don't like them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because there is a reason why you don't like the person. And that's what it is with everybody, even the people we don't like. There are qualities about them that are likable. Even with Trisha, you know, everything that she is, she found someone to marry her. So there's something there. But that's what he's saying. They could say, they can unload each other, because when you have your friend, you are speaking nicely about your friend. You want to hang out with your friend because that's your friend. And even Trisha knew. Trisha knows herself. Trisha knew that if they were to be friends, it wouldn't work, the show. She even knew that, because you know what? She knows herself. And you cannot let Trisha get away with stuff, because when you let her get away with stuff, this is what happens. Right? You can't let her have her way. You can't. Then you're descending in some dark hole that you could never get out of. You have to be the resistance. Stay strong. And Ethan was the only person that could withstand Trisha and keep her in her place and call her out every week on the nonsense she was up to. He would always call her out like, what is this? What is this? What'd you do here? This is wrong. I loved when he went after her on the Dixie Charlie situation. He consistently called her out like, you shouldn't be doing that. She's only 16. I mean, she's a kid. What are you doing? He was calling her out left and right, and Trisha was making all these excuses. And remember what happened after? She had to back all the way off of that because nobody was on her side, not even Ethan. Ethan didn't even pretend to be on her side. No, she needed to know. She needed to cut stuff out. Yeah, she needed someone to keep her in check. And Ethan volunteered for that role. Okay, Ethan. But what happened is you guys forgot you were frenemies. That's what happened.
And it was just fun, and I feel like nobody's feelings were getting hurt up until the end, which...
Yeah, there's a reason what happened at the end and why it was different from all the other times they had their usual blowouts. What they had was gold. Trisha, what were you doing? You had gold in your hand and you just threw it all away. You just threw it all away. Hey, Ethan is fine. Ethan is living his life. Ethan has his other podcast going. Ela has her company that she's running, plus the podcast. They are fine. They are sitting pretty. They have employees. They are sitting good, Trisha.
I don't really understand fully. I guess things just got complicated with her, but...
Oh, Ethan, I could tell you. I could straight up tell you why. What happened. I'm surprised you don't know. I thought you knew. I'd tell you, but you have to watch the series, you know. I don't want to say too much too soon. But I'll tell you what happened and why. Plain as day.
I guess I just don't know Nick that well, but he was very sweet. I don't know. He was very nice and sweet in the end, so... Well, and also, like he said, she ghosted... I'm not super familiar with the Trisha Nick drama either, but apparently he did a collab with her. He flew out to meet her, and then she ghosted him, said she didn't know him, called him a stalker, which is something I noticed she does a lot. Everybody's a stalker to Trisha. That's why she doesn't have 24-hour security. She has 48-hour security. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I kind of skipped over this part in the first episode of Frenemies, but I was going to go over her stalker story, but I'm like, you know what? Let me just not touch this. And I should have touched it because I knew something was up. Because, like, right after that, she went on her other stalker binges. Like, everybody else was a stalker. Like, right after that, she did, now she was doing this. Other person was stalking her in her honeymoon. This guy was stalking her in the parking lot. I should have done a segment on that, but I didn't because I just didn't want to touch it. But, yeah, Ethan called her out on that, too.
Yeah, T.
Yeah, because of you. Actually, my first thought, the real first initial reason I got the security, which is why I blame Moses. So, literally, our first, like... breakup, which is like, we weren't like officially dating, but like the first time we took like a break for 2 weeks or whatever from talking was the day before my birthday. And literally the next day, an Israeli man shows up to my house with a gun. And okay, I didn't know at first. First he shows up. Oh God, I shouldn't say this. He's basically, this is it. He's your fan, sees me on the H3 podcast because my friend was there because it was my birthday. So I had my gate open so people could have like deliveries come through and stuff because I knew I was going to get flowers and shit. So I was like, let me just have this open. And this is like 12 hours after I told Moses to never talk to me again sort of thing. All of a sudden an Israeli shows up. Like I see him through my camera and I was like, what the fuck? But I didn't know he was Israeli at the time. Comes back my friend now, my best friend is there like delivering something, but also during COVID, so he's like standing back, and the guy comes up again. Like the guy was at my door, an hour later comes back again, and my friend was like, you know, like, who are you, and blah blah. And he's like, oh, and he's like, how did you know? Like, I just need to talk to Trisha. Like, I'm in love with her. She needs love. Like, she's gonna die soon. Like, I need to give her love. Like,
Why do you have a gun?
okay, so then he said, so basically Cedric got like his name and number because he was like, what the hell, like this is weird. So he got his name and number, he talked to him for a minute, whatever, and then he kept calling my friend and was like, what's happening? He goes, I saw her on The Bachelorette, like she's like, I need to love her because she's about, yeah, exactly.
For real?
Yes. He's like, H3, like, I know them and all this stuff. And then he's like, he said he was like Israeli. And I was like, oh my God, like Moses like sent this like hitman or something. And you guys also hated me. So all of a sudden it's an Israeli.
By the way, just so you know, he's not my fan. The people that watch our show hate me.
He called her out on these stalker things. He called her out a long time ago. That's what she's up to. He put her to task on that. Like, he was listening to her and he was like, yeah, okay, this is nonsense. Let me entertain it for a bit because, you know, we have to fill up, you know, the first podcast. We have to make it interesting. So he let her tell the story. But like, really, he was like, what's going on? This is, he knew. It's so exhausting at this point. But at least Ethan was beside you when you had your stories to tell to actually make it interesting.
For every stalker, Gabby, Nick, me.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Gabby. Gabby was stalking her. Ethan, I don't know how you did it.
Yeah. We need RoboCop posted outside Trisha's house at all times.
There was a difference.
Yep.
Just saying. I'm not mad at her about that anymore. I'm really not. But I am mad at the viewers who are saying, oh, Trisha did to Nick, now Ethan did to Nick did to Ethan. I did not. I did not set him up. I did not ghost him. And it's one thing to just forget to tell someone that you're not coming. I told it 5 days in advance, and maybe it should have been sooner. But I did not lie about it, and I also did. Who? Ethan? Who? You know what I mean? So whatever.
He's right, guys. You shouldn't. It's different. It's different. He was up front. The one thing I didn't like, you know, which I think he apologized for, was like, oh, well, I'm canceling because he just said these mean things to me and this mean things to me.
Yeah, that's the part that's like Trisha. I have this thing on these trolls. You know, everybody says Nick is a troll. Okay, I have things about troll. Trisha, Nick, and Keem. I put them all in the same category, and I'll tell you why, but maybe I'll do a separate troll video on why these trolls are not built like the trolls of yesteryear. These trolls are so sensitive. I don't know why they set themselves up as being a troll. You can't be a troll and then run and cry in the corner every chance you get for sympathy. You can't have both. Okay, let me stop because I have another troll video I can do.
And I think the real reason was that he got anxious about sitting down and doing the interview, or that he didn't feel like flying, or whatever, you know, which are all, you know, it's fine. You don't have to do things you don't want to do in life, especially an interview. It's not that serious. So, yeah, totally different.
And I didn't think Nick was like this. I thought Nick standed tall in his trolldom. That's what I thought. But after this here, I'm like, nah. You're in the same category. You're in the same category as Keem and Trisha. You can't take on the troll aesthetic and then take it off when things aren't going your way. No. You're either a troll or you're not a troll. There's no half-stepping trolldom. Okay, again, this is for my troll video, so I better stop.
Don't call me fat, therefore I canceled. No. It's really not. It's multiple little things that just started stacking up and giving me panic attacks.
It's fine,
literally
bro.
Anxiety. Literally shaking. I'm like, wait a minute. What? It's kind of hitting me now.
Wait, did he say literally shaking? Maybe he is Trisha Paytas. That is kind of the Trisha Paytas meme. Literally shaking right now.
It's a match. It's a match. The DNA says it's a match. You can't argue with science. It's a match. Didn't I say at the beginning they're the same? And I pointed out some part that made them the same. All right? Yeah. Sorry. There's levels to this, because if people were comparing him to Trisha, it wasn't like the whole totality of him. But there's aspects of it, because these trolls, they all do the same thing, right? When you offend them, these trolls all take on the same personality, it seems. I'm telling you, I have to do a video on these trolls. It's getting ridiculous now.
hopefully we'll have a season 2 when we can actually get Nick to come out. That would be great. And again, great guy. As far as my part with him was good. We resolved it. He was very professional and nice. So, God bless, man. If you ever change your mind, I would love to sit and talk with you, and I hope I can show you that I would be conducting a very professional. There wouldn't be any name calling or anything in the interview. I was just doing shtick, and I would handle it as professional as I possibly could.